So we're going to do a microdosing quick start today. And what does that mean? What is a quick start? I'm going to get you back to basics and make sure your microdosing is going in the right direction. You're doing everything correctly so you can get the results that you want. Hang with me here. I'm Dr. Dave, and this is Microdose U.
Enter the world of magic mushrooms with Microdose U.
Hey there, welcome back. I am Dr. Dave, and thanks so much for being with me on Microdose U. I got a funny story to tell you. So back in the days when I was a practicing dentist, we actually hired a consulting company to come in. I was like once a week or so, once every week, once every couple of weeks, to help us with our dental practice, to kind of make sure we're doing the right things to get our patients the best results. And also, of course, dental practice is a business. So to get our dental practice business, make sure it's healthy and we can keep going. And when a practice can keep going, that means you keep seeing patients and keep delivering really good results to your patients. So we had a particular coach or consultant that came in to see us every week. But for some reason, one day she was sick or she couldn't make it in. So they sent like the head of the company over to do our coaching for this one particular day. And we could tell that he didn't really know where we stood, where we were, like how far we've come. So what he did, he came in and said, okay, what we're going to do today, we're going to do a quick start. And we said, well, what is it? What is a quick start? And he said, we're just going to get back to basics, share a lot of basic things with you to make sure you're on track. So no matter what your coach has taught you so far, we're going to get you back on track with the most basic things. And at first we thought this was totally bogus. This guy doesn't really know what he's doing. He's coming into our office cold and he's just going to do like a canned quick start meeting. Well, as it turned out, his quick start was not bad. And we learned a lot of stuff that, kind of got back to the basic things that we need to do to operate and have a very successful and healthy dental practice. So today, what I'm going to be doing for you is a quick start. It's not bogus. It's going to be pretty quick. And I'm going to make sure we're back to the basic things that you need to be doing for whatever your goals are. And we're going to talk about your goals in just a couple seconds. Before we get into this quick start, I want to remind you a couple things. Always check the show notes of each podcast episode here, whether you're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening. Check the show notes. I've got some very, very important links. And actually, as important or more importantly now, and I'll tell you why, check my brand new website, microdoseu.com. It's microdose with the letter U on the end of it, microdoseu.com. We just finished up our coaching page. So when you go to microdoseu.com now, one of the menu items, one of the tabs or the menu items is going to be coaching. And you'll get to see exactly what it takes if you do want to work one-on-one with us here at Microdose U. We'll get you to where you want to be. Now, you don't have to do this. You can listen to each podcast episode, get a ton of information. It's all free. But if you're the type of person that you can't get there by yourself, you want to have your hand held, you just need some extra guidance that we can't give you on the podcast. You get all of your questions answered, then that's the place to go. Microdoseu.com. Click coaching. We'd love to work with you. There's definitely a little bit of an application process because we want to make sure we're all in alignment before we start working together. We don't just take anybody. Let's make sure we're in alignment. Let's make sure we're on the same page. Let's make sure we can have fun working together. And then we'll take it from there. Okay, so let's get into our quick start today. It's going to be pretty brief. This is not going to be like the 2024 absolute beginner's guide to microdosing magic mushrooms where I go into like tons of detail. If you want to go back to that and review that, that's totally fine. But today it's going to be what it is, a quick start. So first of all, what you want to do if you're microdosing or if you're thinking about microdosing, I want you to figure out like what is your goal? In other words, I don't want you to just start eating magic mushrooms with no real goal or no intent and just hoping for the best. That's not going to work. It's not a good way to approach this. So what is your actual goal? Let's say you've got anxiety. Let's say you've got depression. Let's say you've got, it could be anything, some type of PTSD. It could be anything. Mostly people are doing this for mental health issues, but it could be you want to be more mindful. It could be you want to be better at some type of a sport. You're training for something, or your business. You've got a business idea and you want to be more creative. It could be anything. What I want you to do is come up with your, like, why am I doing this? What is your goal? What are you trying to achieve? I want you to write it down. Remember, I've talked to you about this in the past. Carry a journal with you. Carry some type of a journal that you can write in and make notes and always refer back to it. So, okay, you've come up with your goal. Now, let's decide. And again, your goal might be, I want to feel at least 50% better than I do now in 3 months. I mean, that could be your goal. Let's not, we're not going to shoot for the moon. We're not going to say you're going to be totally cured in 3 months. That's probably not going to happen. But would you be happy feeling 50% better in 3 months? I think most people would. And then you take it from there, and then you get better and better and better. So to start microdosing, of course, you're going to need some medicine. You're going to need psilocybin. You're going to need magic mushrooms. Where do you get them? Well, unfortunately, as you probably know, I don't discuss that on the show. I don't discuss it on my website. However, this will be the first time I share this with you. When you're a member of my premium Patreon, and I'm not trying to get more people to join. We've got enough, and it's a great platform there, and it's okay. But if you want to know some reliable places where you can get your sacred medicine, then premium Patreon members, I'll just leave it at that. Premium Patreon members, you have to $12.50 a month. Premium Patreon members get to ask me any question they want. So we'll leave it at that, but you can just read between the lines. You can ask me any question you want, and I will help you with any question. Now, it's not coaching. It's not personalized coaching, but my premium Patreon members, if they ask me a simple question, it takes me a couple seconds to answer. I can answer that. But if it's more of a, like, they need coaching and one-on-one help, that's a totally different story. That's why we have the coaching. But anyway, you need to have your medicine. And if you have no idea where to get it, talk to me on Patreon. Do not just randomly find somebody on the internet that's claiming to be somebody that sells medicine. And please, you're getting 99.9% chance you're going to get ripped off. There's a very high probability. Do not do that. Okay, so you have your medicine. How much do you dose? What is your dose? What is your starting dose to microdose? Again, everybody's different. There's no set rule. The good news is you're not going to do anything wrong, because even if you take a little bit too much, it's not going to be a problem. Because the first time you dose, just make sure you do it at a time when you don't have any responsibilities. You're not going to be high. You're not going to be stoned. You're not going to go into a psychedelic trip with a microdose. But if you take too much of a microdose and it's a very strong strain, you might really feel it, and it might be a little bit uncomfortable, and you might not want to go to work, go to school, take care of your kids, drive, whatever you have to do. So make sure the first time you do it at a time when you've got no responsibility. I suggest starting just with 100 milligrams, and that's 0.1 gram. 100 milligrams could be 150, 0.15 grams, somewhere in that range. It's not an exact science. You don't have to go thinking this out too carefully. It's not that big of a deal. Somewhere in that range is totally fine. I started with 0.2 and I was fine. 0.2 is 200 milligrams. I was totally fine. But I'm suggesting, again, be careful. Start with 0.1 or 0.15. It's 100 or 150 milligrams, and you're going to be fine. How often do you do it? I would recommend a pattern, something like, again, it does not have to be exact, but somewhere around 4 days on, 2 days off, roughly. It could be 3 days on, it could be 4 or 5. Take a couple days off. Again, I would journal this. I would make sure you have like a little journal and you're keeping track so you see how you feel. But the reason we take days off is just to give give things a rest and make sure there's no tolerance that builds up. And again, it's not exact, and you can kind of do what you want. But when you're first starting, it's good to have kind of a regimen. So I recommend, about 3, 4, 5 days on, about 2 days off, something like that. What else do you need to do? what else do you need to do while you're when you start on your microdosing journey, or even if you're on your microdosing journey? Well, there's some really important things. A microdose using psilocybin is not like taking an antidepressant or an SSRI or something like that. Because if you take an antidepressant, you just kind of pop the pill and go about your business and don't worry about anything else. With microdosing, there are other things you need to do on the side. So, one of the most powerful things, again, I'm going to show you, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to show you my journal. I carry my journal with me wherever I go, and I like to use a nice pen. And there's something about using a really nice, comfortable, and kind of expensive pen, splurge a little bit if you have the money to do it, because it just it feels good. It's hard to explain other than it just really feels good to be writing with a very nice pen in a nice journal. So write down your thoughts, write down your goals, write down, you can do a little diary. It doesn't really matter, but just make sure you journal. And that what that does, it just gets you to think more, gets you to think about what you're doing. And you can look back to see what you've done and what you've accomplished and how you feel. And just write anything down that you like. There's no right or no wrong about journaling. That's the good thing about journaling. You can't do it wrong. Also, make sure you get checked out physically. Go to your doctor, go to your primary care doc, and just if you're trying to treat or trying to take care of your depression or anxiety or anything like that, we want to make sure that you're not having any other health issues, because a lot of times other health issues can cause anxiety, depression, and a lot more mental health issues. So get checked out by your physician, get all the proper lab work, get everything done, your vitamin, your mineral, all just everything checked out to make sure everything is in line. A complete physical, not just go in and they look at you, listen to your heart for a few seconds. And so make sure you get physical, all your lab tests. Make sure you get a sleep study. Even if you think there's no chance you have any type of sleep apnea, proper sleep, the amount of sleep, the amount of hours you sleep, the amount of deep sleep you get. If you're stopping any breathing during sleep, that's called sleep apnea. It's all weighs in on your physical and mental health. So I'm going to recommend highly. I've talked to you about this before, but some of you just haven't done it yet. Please get a sleep study done and just make sure, rule out that you don't have anything else going on as far as sleep apnea. Now, if you don't have sleep apnea, but you still just have a tough time sleeping, you can't go to sleep well, you wake up in the middle of the night, you don't sleep long hours, then you might want to practice really good sleep hygiene. There are some other things you can do, which again, they're probably beyond the scope of this. Remember, this is just a quick start. So but make sure your sleep is good. I can't stress how important that is for your physical and for your mental health. If you're on an SSRI, if you're on medication, if you're on an antidepressant, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they quit their SSRI and then they start microdosing. It's a tremendous mistake. Do not do that. Do them simultaneously. People talk about, well, I'm going to get serotonin syndrome and die. From a microdose, no. A microdose is a tiny, tiny, tiny dose. I microdosed and used my SSRI for at least it was at least 8 months before I started before I started feeling better and weaning off of my SSRI. Here I am. I'm still alive. I'm totally fine. I never had an issue. But with microdosing and an SSRI, you're not going to have an issue. But just please remember also, this is not medical advice. Always check with your doctor on all of this stuff. I was forthright with my doctor, and I told her that I am microdosing magic mushrooms. At first, she didn't like it only because she didn't know enough about it. She knew almost nothing about a psychedelic, but I told her that it's fine. It's one of the safest plants as far as plant medicine there is. You cannot overdose on it. It's not addictive. You're not gonna it's not gonna be habit forming. It's very safe, especially microdosing. A microdose is tiny. So again, your doctor might not like the fact that you're doing it. But if you can educate your doctor, if you feel, again, I'm not going to make you tell your doctor, but I recommend sharing your doctor should know what you're doing as far as I'm concerned. Be patient. You're not going to feel better overnight. This is not a quick fix. I'm in 3.5 years into microdosing. I'm feeling better all the time. except of course, I'm going through some craziness with my house here, which I'm going to be talking about, by the way, on the next episode. I'll be getting back into that story because some craziness for sure. I'm trying to smile. I am. If you're watching me on video, you see I am smiling. I'm sneaking a smile in there every once in a while. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay, but it's definitely some tremendous craziness I'm going through, which I'm going to continue to share. And I love your support. Thank you so much for so many. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about this next time. But again, it's generally not an overnight fix. Stick with the program, be patient, and remember, set your goal. Because if you want to feel 50% better in 3 months, I honestly believe you can. And then you'll set your next goal. Maybe you want to feel 50% more better. But whatever your goals are, you're going to reach them. You're going to be fine. But you have to be patient. Don't jump around. Don't listen to what your friends are going to say. No, you should try this. Try this instead. No, do this. Don't do this. Do this. No, stick with me here at Microdose U. I'm very experienced with this, more than the average person. And I'm gonna get you there. I promise you, I'm gonna get you there. Stick with me. You're gonna be fine. This was a quick start. My dental coach, my dental consultant, had a good idea. It's always good to just get back to basics sometimes, and that's what we did today. Remember, brand new episode every Wednesday, every Friday. So today's Wednesday. This coming Friday, I'm going to continue with some of the craziness that's been going on and actually interrupting my peaceful, positive microdosing life, because sometimes life throws some weird, crazy things at you, and we can't control those. We can't control if craziness comes at you, but you can learn how to deal with it, work with it, and work through it. And that's what I'm trying my best to do now. And I'll share more with you on Friday. Thanks so much for being with me. I really hope this quick start helped you quite a bit. Thanks to Dave Runkle, who did the quick start in my dental office many, many, many years ago. I still remember that. Isn't that crazy? Okay, I'm Dr. Dave. Love you. Thanks for being with me on Microdose U.